bank set up in Washie Hall that we would activate for this purpose. Those are phones used for other purposes normally, but we have people trained to operate a call center. So we would ask those people to come in and be a call center in case we start getting calls.
If she's leaving, then I would be leaving too.
I don't leave.
No, Judith doesn't leave.
I don't leave, I make a phone call to Eric.
But if the phone system is activated, then I would be the source of information.
Yes, correct.
Although, Eric, we haven't sent you anywhere yet. Eric is in charge of getting that set up, and he can be in phone communication with us before we have decided what we want to say.
How certain are we as to the identification of the student? I mean, we had, an RA went to a room that's assigned to that student, but that RA might not necessarily know visually every student, and so there could be assumptions there. So we need to be sure that we verify that we do have the correct identification before we start calling parents.
That's right.
I mean, do the records include pictures?
Photos,
Yeah.
Okay, at 5:15, the Times calls for the information desk at the Student Union, asking for information on a dead body found on campus.
The call will be referred to me. I'm either up here or I'm en route, depending on, but I would be the spokesperson to respond. Until we have a confirmation, I would report that we have no confirmed information at this time. Once that changes, then I would be in a position to upgrade that information.
Okay, Chief, what's the protocol on answering questions related to a crime scene?
Well, it really is. The protocol kind of shifts with the department. It's kind of a collective. It's a department and a coroner. The coroner is really the chief investigating officer in a case like this, any suspicious death in the county. So you really have to work through the coroner's office in order to. Now, identification is going to be critical. Identification of that individual, and because of the logistics of the parents and being in such a, I would say that positive identification could be made by somebody close to that person.
Suite mates.
A suite mate, somebody that's familiar that can be called, be taken over, and actually make a positive identification. So I don't foresee that as being a major issue.
Once the individual has been identified, okay, who is responsible for notification of the family?
Really, it's the coroner. But the coroner could direct us to do that.
Okay. But we would either provide the coroner with contact information, or the coroner would say to us, make the contact.
Right.
Okay. Yes, ma'am?
I think we also need to keep in mind that we've got a staff of RAs who are going to be inundated with questions as
Yes.
police and ambulance tends to arrive. So we'll have to corral them too. So that there's a unified, succinct statement sent out to residents of the university.
We need to contact the counseling office and ask them to help people here to assist
Counselor
us.
Center, probably Marine as well.
Yeah.
And I think that we will need to go into our second tiered group with counselors and those who are from the university or from the school of nursing have volunteered to be helpful as well.
Do we have a space here that we can set up for students who have questions, concerns, anxieties in this building?
We would use the rooms on the fourth floor.
On the fourth
And
floor?
then we could clear out a couple of the offices on the first floor to be able to do that.
You have space on the second floor, or there are like study rooms on the second?
There are some, there's one particular space that is private and we could use.
Okay, so I think what we want to do then is get your head of counseling over here and a number of counselors and people who will be helping, and let them deploy to the second and the fourth floor.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll get that set up. And I'm assuming that in addition, that they'll serve both functions, both counseling and saying whatever can be said to students. What can we say? We need to craft that message, and Wes needs to write it for us. So what are we able to say?
We can confirm the identity of the student once the coroner's office reports it to you at Wednesday.
And the family has been notified.
And the families, those two conditions.
Once those two things have happened, once it's been confirmed by the coroner and the family's been notified, we can confirm who the student is.
But before that, can we confirm that a death has occurred?
Well, that would come one and the same from the coroner's office.
Yeah, I mean, from a campus standpoint, I guess what we need to decide here is do we need to make some kind of general notification to the campus community that, there's an unsuspected death has occurred in the university village, and police and law enforcement officials are currently having an ongoing investigation, just so you kind of like quell the rumor mill, so to speak. And then, I mean, based on the scenario, there was nothing described as far as, signs of violence on the individual. So I think that takes us a little bit out of that Virginia Tech mentality where you have to really feel like, you gotta warn everybody to stay in, because right now what we're dealing with is really a lot of unknown. But I think putting some kind of a general message out there that there's been a death that occurred, unofficial cause of death has occurred in the University Village. So that's my, where we take it from as far as the communication standpoint.
I think we want to be able to communicate as much as we can accurately say without overstating or interpreting what we say. Are you all aware of the Eastern Michigan University case?
No.
In December of 2006, less than a year ago, a female student was found in her dorm in Eastern Michigan. The campus reported that the death was not a threat to the campus, even though they knew that the evidence was that it was a rape murder. And 10 weeks later, when the murderer was apprehended, the suspected murderer was apprehended, and the university community discovered that they were not warned that there was a possible rape murder in that case. The chief of police, the vice chancellor for student affairs, and the president were all fired. So, and the Cleary Act.
Yeah, clear.
So Chief and Mindy and I all have a very strong interest in our getting this right.
Right.
So we want to be able to be in compliance with the Cleary Act, and we want to be able to report as much as it is appropriate to report without over-interpreting.
Chancellor, the next impact is from China.
5:20 p.m., David, who entered room 637, has become very distraught, insisting that he did nothing wrong and stated that he did not want to be questioned by the Hammond and campus police. I would try to talk to him as a staff member, but I would have a conversation with the chief to try to discern if he is indeed under question, then David has rights, and I'm sure that chief would inform him of that.
I think initially we also have the counselors now here.
Right.
So I think we would want to get David talking to a counselor.
I have a question. When does information on fact become factual enough so that I can tell Wes that message?